So there's a new campaign that has been started. Now, this slogan is defund the police. Now, with a lot of these slogans, it's tough to kind of fully encapsulate an idea or a position or a point in just a little slogan. And so, there was the Believe Women slogan, but then people started to use that as, oh, believe all women no matter what, even if it's not even about certain allegations, no matter what they say. It was kind of insane. So it's tough to kind of encapsulate them, but my understanding of the term or the slogan defund the police basically means police have way too much funding. They are militarized. They get equipment from the military, and they're to the point where it's more of a military force rather than a, policing force. So that's what I take it as, and that's my understanding of it. And if that's the case, which I believe it is, then I agree with this message and this idea. Now, the Biden campaign has opposed calls to defund the police. It says here, Democratic presidential contender Joe Biden's campaign said on Monday that the former vice president does not support calls to defund the police amid growing calls to do so by activists across the country. As his criminal justice proposal made clear months ago, Vice President Biden does not believe that police should be defunded. Biden campaign spokesman Andrew Bates told reporters. He hears and shares the deep grief and frustration of those calling out for change and is driven to ensure that justice is done and that we put a stop to this terrible pain. Biden supports the urgent need for reform, including funding for public schools, summer programs, and mental health and substance abuse treatment separate from funding for policing so that officers can focus on the job of policing. So it's kind of cowardly that Biden's not doing anything himself, but the strategy from this Biden campaign has just been let Trump crumble, let Trump basically melt down, let him implode, and then Biden just becomes the natural sort of alternative. So the way that they're responding to this seems like they think that the movement basically wants to fully defund the police down to like $0, which is not what my understanding is of the movement. I think a better title for the movement would be demilitarize the police, because that obviously includes lowering funding as well as obviously the most important thing to me, which is demilitarizing the police. Making sure they don't have military grade stuff because they have no business having that kind of stuff in civilian areas. But, it's a pretty cowardly move. Now, when I think about this from a strategy perspective for Joe Biden doesn't really have to do anything. All he has to do is play centrist and be like, hey, look at that crazy guy over there. Vote for me instead. That's his strategy. And so far, it's working. He's dominating Trump in all of the polls right now. So it seems like that's what he's trying to go for here. Again, he can sort of abuse his base, or I shouldn't call it his base, but the Democratic Party base or whatever you want to call it. Like, all the people who are supporting, Black Lives Matter and defund the police and stuff like that. He can abuse them all he wants because some of them support him anyways, but B, a lot of them have no choice. And then if they talk about how Joe Biden sucks or why Joe Biden sucks, they get pelted with a bunch of oh, you're enabling Donald Trump stuff. So basically, there's no real room for anybody to have any criticism of Joe Biden, because if you do, you're just painted as like a fascist enabler, or you're supporting Hitler or stuff like that. So if you're somebody who supports demilitarizing the police and then Joe Biden has this, you have no room to say anything. You're fucked, basically. So he can abuse this base all he wants. He could say anything he wants. He could come out and say he doesn't even support Obamacare and everything would be just fine, So he doesn't have to worry about any of that. But I guess he's just trying to pull the centrist move. So strategy perspective, I guess for him, I guess it's going to work. I'm not really sure. We're going to have to see. But not surprising. Joe Biden, obviously, author of the 94 crime bill. Joe Biden is a piece of shit. You guys already know that.